And welcome back to another episode of Off the Couch Podcast, the podcast where we have amazing content, but we take long breaks between recordings. I'm kidding. I mean, not kidding, but don't worry. We're getting back on it. I know I keep saying it, but I'll make it happen this time for you guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. My name's Coach Gobbs. Today, we're joined by a very special guest, Coach Mariah. She coaches here at MOB. She is a level 2 CrossFit coach. She's been doing CrossFit for
4 years.
4 years.
Yep.
And we're just going to kind of pick her brain about all things CrossFit and fitness related. So first things first, Coach Mariah, I'm just going to call you Mariah. Is that okay?
That's preferred, actually.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
But keep in mind, guys, it's Mariah, not Carrie. So it's not that one.
Yep.
It's just, Mariah Taylor.
That's a clever name. So,
it's her handle on Instagram, Mariah, not Carrie. So you've been doing CrossFit for 4 years.
Yep.
Cool. Have you always been into working out and fitness and health and fitness?
Kinda. Like, I would say I was pretty typical when in high school, right? I did sports, played sports. I was pretty active there. And then I would say after college, not so much. I was like on the train of trying to figure out my own thing. I was when fitness influencers really became big and you were following everybody's Instagram workout, right?
Yeah,
so
because they look like that by doing it. 70,000 crunches and drinking detox teas.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, but really until not CrossFit, I would say I was a pretty average human. So.
Well, you're way above average now. So what sports did you play growing up?
I played volleyball.
Cool.
Yep. So that was my biggest sport. We did that all year round. And then I kind of just tried everything. Was good at one thing, which was volleyball. Tried to run track. Yeah,
you were just saying that. You ran the 400?
Yeah, I was.
And you didn't like it?
Not good. Didn't like it. I was slow.
It's probably one of the,
hard.
I don't know, I wouldn't say one of the worst. It is one of the hardest events in track because not only do you have to have a level of capacity, but you have to be really fast.
You have to be really fast. So, you
have to be able to be fast for about a minute straight.
Right. You don't put one of the slowest, well, not one of the slowest. I don't want to be negative here, but a slower athlete on the 400 on varsity. So,
It's not the event you would have chose
for
yourself. No.
No.
Well, you did it.
No.
It sounds like you did great too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when did you, I'd say, like, not playing sports, like, get into working out? Did you start with CrossFit or did you, like, start going to, like, a regular, like 24-hour or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more like 24-hour or anytime. So just like a bigger gym, Globo gym, where they had machines, free weights. But, I mean, it was very on and off like a year before CrossFit. It was just not super consistent.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And how'd you find CrossFit? Did you get introduced by a friend or family member?
Yeah, I was going a little more consistent to one of the bigger gyms. And little fun fact about me, I'm a type 1 diabetic. So, fitness is really, really important. And I didn't realize that. I knew I needed to figure something out. But until I met a girl who, at the gym, her and I chatted. She did CrossFit. I wanted to try it. And then she's like, come to my gym. And I did. And I was scared. But I stuck to it. And that was pretty much it.
Nice. So. Do you remember your first workout?
Yeah, I do.
What was it?
Murph.
That's an awful first workout. For anyone that doesn't know, Murph is run a mile, do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, run a mile. So, baptized by fire. Mm-hmm. And you kept coming back.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You like punishment.
Yeah.
Did you have any perceptions about CrossFit before you started it?
Just that people were really strong. Like, I think my perception was more on the positive side.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. Because, back then it was a lot of more negative, I guess, perceptions.
It definitely has its stereotypes. That's why I asked the question. A lot of people, stereotypically, it's what they see on TV, or they think CrossFit's inherently dangerous, or I don't know, a handful of other things that were a lot more typical back then. Mm-hmm. They still are kind of around, but we've managed to debunk a lot of them, or at least try to. Mm-hmm. What about, like, so something I wanted to talk about today is, like, specifically kind of the cost of, or price of CrossFit, and like just kind of that type of topic, I suppose, is like one of the stereotypes, I guess, that we get, and we still get it till this day, is that like CrossFit's expensive. And I think what I want to talk about is like, is it expensive? What do we define as expensive? And then is it overpriced? Is more like, I guess what we're trying to get at, is CrossFit overpriced?
Yeah.
And I don't know. We're going to talk about it, and that's something that I guess you'll have to decide for yourself out there. But we'll give you our opinion on that. But real quick backstory into myself on how I started CrossFit. I've talked about this on previous podcasts, so if you want the long story, you can go listen to that. There was a podcast where April interviewed me, Coach April. It was about 5 episodes ago. You can go watch, and I'll talk a lot more about that. But long story short, I was in college, and my sister and brother were doing CrossFit, and at the time I had a Fitness 19 membership, and I believe it was called that because it was like $19 or something like that. So paying about $19-ish a month, I think.
It's a good marketing strategy.
Yeah, it wasn't more than 30. I remember that, so it wasn't like too bad. It was a smaller like gym. It wasn't like a big 24-hour. It didn't have huge locker rooms or whatever, but it had like everything that you needed, or I thought I needed at the time. You got the treadmills, your kind of free weight section, stuff like that. And my brother and sister tried to get me to start doing CrossFit, and I was like, I don't know what that is. Like, I had a good workout routine going.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, like that's okay. I really like what I'm doing. And then my brother came to Fitness 19 with me one time. I remember this specifically. And he's like, hey, I'm going to do a CrossFit workout. Do you want to do it with me? And I was like, no. Like I was just into my thing, right? Like I thought I'd had this really great thing. And I was like, I want to stick with this. I don't want to waste my time with anything else. And I was watching him do his workout, and he had like dumbbell lunges and kipping pull-ups. That's all I remember. There's probably some other stuff, but I remember watching him from like across the gym. I was like on some machine or something, and I was watching him. And the lunges, like I didn't probably think too much about, besides that they were happening pretty quickly. Like I was like, the rate at which these lunges are happening is pretty quick. I was like, okay. And then the pull-ups, he's doing kipping pull-ups. And from an outsider's perspective looking in, it just looks like
fake pull-ups.
Yeah, they look like fake, cheater, like I don't know. Like when you don't understand what a kipping pull-up is and the reason for it and the level of fitness it takes, blah blah blah. It's like it's very easy to criticize that movement and be like, those are cheater pull-ups, they're not real, blah blah. So I was in that boat. I was like, yeah, definitely don't want to do that. And then he's like, oh, like why don't you want to try CrossFit? And I was like, oh, I'm more fit doing what I'm doing. I saw what you do. It looks dumb. Like that's the way I thought about it. Like it looks dumb. And he's, and I tell that to my sister too. And they're like, yeah, well, if it's so dumb, you should do a competition. And because like, I thought my way of exercise was superior. And I was like, okay, what's that? And they're like, well, you work out, and whoever works out fastest, gets the most reps, lifts the most weight, wins. And I was like, say less. I was like, I'm like mega fit, like these guys are all going to lose. Okay. That's kind of how I got sucked into CrossFit. I started training for CrossFit for a comp before I'd even tried it. My first workout was Fran, baptized by fire. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I was in a lot deeper than I thought that I was going to be, because I got worked in that workout. And so I had 3 weeks to train for it. And where this is going is I decided to join a CrossFit gym.
During your training?
Yes.
Before the comp?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I was in college. I did have a full-time job. I was a server bartender, and but not a ton of extra money floating around because I was living with roommates, paying rent. I had a small like phone payment or something. Anyways, not a lot of extra money floating around. And I remember finding out the price of CrossFit at the time was like $120 a month, which at the time, you got to remember, this is like 15 years ago. I was just like, think about going from like 19 or 20 bucks a month to $120 a month. Like we just added $100 to what I pay monthly for the gym, not to mention it's about like 6 times the price. And it financially like just didn't make a lot of sense. And I loved CrossFit so much that I found ways to make it work. But from an outsider's perspective looking in, I was like, man, this is expensive. And I didn't, when I first started, understand the price until you start kind of doing it. And so I thought it was expensive when I started. I thought it was probably overpriced, not because it is, but in my opinion now, but because I didn't have a lot of money. And so I was like, wow, this is like quite a decent percentage of what I'm making. And like just on a gym, I was like, damn, that's a lot. You know, I'm 23 years old. It's like you have a hard time saving money when you're 23, unless you're a smart 23-year-old ahead of your time. But I found ways to make it work. But I think at first glance, I just thought it was very expensive or maybe too expensive. And I think part of that was rooted in I wanted to save money. So it wasn't a fair opinion, but I think it's like, oh, I just don't want to pay that much. And it's like, why? Well, it's too expensive. Do you know why it's too expensive? Like, can you break down why it's too expensive? Is it like the structure, the class, the coaching? And I was like, no, I just think it's too expensive. And they're like, oh, okay. So getting back to you, you started CrossFit, and then like, did you decide to join a gym, and did you start paying a membership? And if so, like, how did that process happen? What do you think about the price, I suppose? Or were you getting a discount? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it was pretty standard. Like I went in and saw all the people doing really cool stuff. And I think the biggest thing for me to join right away was, wow, those women are really strong, the gym I went to, and I wanted to be like that. And so I kind of just jumped in head first. I think, I don't know, it's pretty standard what my price was, maybe like 170 something. It was a lot. Like I was single, living with roommates, not making terrible money, not making like $1 million, but I think to anybody, any price like that does seem expensive at the very beginning, right? So for me, yeah, for sure, it was like, okay, this is it, but we'll see. Hopefully it works, you know? So I kind of took a leap of faith there. And obviously something stuck. So
You decided you thought it was worth it, and you kept paying. And so I guess like the question is like, what about it? We've established that CrossFit's a little expensive. I think it is. Even till this day, our rates have gone up. Like, you know, I started at $120 15 years ago, and now we're charging like $200 a month, which, you know, relative to other states and stuff is probably in the middle. Like, we're not on the high end of what people charge for CrossFit. We're not on the low end. We're probably right in the middle. So it is a little expensive. I will admit that. But I guess the question is it worth it? Like, is there value in that cost? Or is it just kind of like supply and demand? Like, you know, there's only so many CrossFit gyms. So if you want to do CrossFit, you got to pay the premium fee, and that's just the way it is. Well, I guess you have to consider the things that you're paying for, right? So like when you're going to a Globo gym, 24-hour, Lifetime, whatever, which Lifetime is up their rates, by the way, just a quick little sidebar. I have some friends that go there, and they're currently paying like $170 a month. So it's pretty much close to CrossFit. And what they're getting there that they're not getting here is amenities. And so if that's you, then, you know, but they don't have the level of equipment that we would have to execute some of these workouts. They have more amenities. And so you're getting access to equipment that is similar, unless you want machines. We don't really use machines. You got to go to Lifetime or something like that. And you get access to more amenities. And amenities, I mean like your steam room and your pool. We have decent locker rooms here. We do have a sauna, but like bigger amenities. Sure. They have a basketball court, which is, you know, that's cool. I like basketball. But other than that, there's not a huge difference right there at face value. So for that money, you get access to the gym, access to their equipment, access to their amenities. And that's it. For what we charge at CrossFit, we get access to the gym, access to the equipment, access to the amenities. We do have some. But it doesn't stop there. You get a group class as well that is coached by a coach. And if you were to do that at another gym or a Lifetime, there's usually an additional fee to take another class. That's like not included. They offer like yoga classes or alpha classes. And so you have to pay an additional fee on top of that, sometimes anywhere from 50 to 100 to 150 extra dollars a month, depending on what you're doing. So now our rate has quickly gone from 170 to 270, 300 at a Lifetime because you're choosing to take a class. So now we're more expensive than we are here. And the reason for that is because there's a value on having a separate class or a separate like workout modality specifically coached by a person, or at least led by a person, I suppose. Coaching is, I feel like the word coach is a title you should earn, but it is at least led by someone. and that's worth money. These people need to be compensated. That makes tons of sense, right? Like to anyone. If somebody's offering their time for a service, hour and a half class, they should be compensated for their expertise or whatever they're doing. So now, we're quickly above the price that we pay here at CrossFit. For what we're getting at both is access to the facility, the equipment, the amenities, and a group class or a class that is led by someone. But now we get both those here at CrossFit and at your other gym. The price at the other gym is more expensive. Lifetime is the one I'm referencing. So if you're like, well, I go to Voss and it's a little different. Okay, but like we're either getting close or we're more expensive. Right? But not only that, when you join, you get 2 onboarding sessions with us that are, for the most part, personal sessions, if you can group it together with 2-ish people. So then there's value there. How much do they charge for personal training? At your Lifetime and stuff gyms, usually, let's just average about $100 a session. That's probably on the low end. And so quickly we see things start to kind of compile in price. And it's for this all-inclusive price that you're getting with us. But these are all add-ons that we'd have to add on at another gym. And so I think that answers the quick question of like, is CrossFit overpriced? Well, absolutely not. But there's also a level of like expertise and passion that comes with most CrossFit and CrossFit coaches that I feel like is unrivaled in other, I guess, group fitness classes. Like just to, for example, like your F45s, your Orange Theory Fitness, like I've been to these. I like to try different fitness things. It's not the same. The level of coaching isn't the same. The level of knowledge from your coach is not the same. Like it's just not.
Well, and it's limited. The movements, the weights, all the things are just limited to kind of one smaller pocket of things versus us who it's like an explosion of everything, sprinkled in there.
Yeah. And, CrossFit coaches specifically, if you're a CrossFit coach that's passionate about what you do, well, what movements do we train? Well, we train functional movements performed at high intensity. And so, well, what does that mean? Well, anything that's functional in your day-to-day life that uses more than one muscle group, we're probably going to do. So what does that mean as a CrossFit coach? Well, you got to be able to coach deadlifts, squats, cleans, snatches, kettlebell swings, lunges, pull-ups, running, swimming, biking, rowing, jumping, pretty much everything. And so it's like, it takes a lifetime to become even good at the craft of being a CrossFit coach. And so I think the value there speaks for itself.
Yeah.
And like, if you're not sure, go try a CrossFit class in your local area. And every coach and every gym's different, but hopefully you get into a good gym and you'll see the level of coaching there and you'll be like, yeah, this makes tons of sense why this would cost maybe what we'd consider a little bit more. It's like, it's not really what we're charging here is not access to our gym facility. We're charging for the coaching because we're passionate about it and it takes a lot of energy. You're a coach.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When you coach an hour-long class and it's a decent sized class and you're really on top of it, like how do you feel when you're done?
I mean, I feel pretty tired, physically, mentally, emotionally, even sometimes. And I think that's like, that goes into kind of transferring 1 hour of coaching could feel like 3 hours of work, most days, because if you do care and you do put in that effort, it's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've asked some professionals in our field. I specifically remember asking this question at some seminars, like, what do you think the equivalent to like a 9-to-5 desk job would be to like, being that CrossFit coach that Mariah just talked about, that's like, you're really on your A game, making sure you're bringing that energy, being a good coach, looking for ways to coach movements better, coach people better, stuff like that. They're like, is that equivalent? Like an hour at a desk job, an hour coaching, those are the same? Like, no, absolutely not. Like if you're that on it coach, it's like 2 to 1. So every hour you coach would be an equivalent of like 2 hours of energy used at a desk job, something like that. And that's just an opinion. So if you disagree, that's okay. But that's like, it does take a lot of energy and it sucks it out of you. And, when you're done, like I'll finish coaching a couple classes in a row and like, I kind of need to decompress, like just go sit down, just, okay, like reflect on how that went, what went well, what I could do better. And then kind of just like decompress from, my coaching personality to my regular personality, which, they are slightly different for me. I'm very loud when I coach because our gym gets really echoey.
He's super funny too.
Yeah, I think I'm funny. And I'm half the time I'm the only one that laughs at my own jokes.
Yep.
But I always tell them the jokes are for me. They're not for you guys. They're to make me laugh. This is my hour. No, I'm kidding. So like we get all that stuff, and I'm sure I miss a few things. Like I think the one thing that goes, the value that you get the most at a CrossFit gym specifically, that is probably priceless, is if you find a CrossFit gym, and this is most of them, not all of them, most of them, that have a good community.
Yep.
That is absolutely priceless. So it's like you're paying this monthly fee and you get all this stuff, but on the side of it, you get this community. Mm-hmm. And for those that don't know, who've never done CrossFit, well, I encourage you, go try it. Like you'll see right away what I'm talking about as far as community goes. And if you don't see it trying a gym, go to another gym, because you should see it within the first, I want to say first visit, but within the first two.
Yeah.
Give them a second chance in case you don't see it the first time. And you'll quickly see what I'm talking about when it comes to the community. And it's like, those are our core values. We're a community of people that works hard. We're a community of people that gets results. We're a community of people that support each other, and communities in all three of those. It's like the foundation. And what you end up with is these, surrounded by these like-minded people who understand, like it's almost like bonding through suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who understand what each other are going through, and like you just develop a special bond with these people that carries way further than inside the doors of the gym. And then you end up with people, hanging out, you make friends that, end up being lifelong friends and all this stuff. And like, man, that I feel like that's the part of what we do that I have never seen at another entity besides CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like
that keeps the people.
I've done Orange Theory, done F45. I've tried other gyms. Like I've tried a lot of stuff, and you just don't see that at other gyms, or at least on the same level, like not even close. Like it's not even comparable.
Well, it's one of those things where people can tell you all day long that it's so great, the community's so great, but unless you do it, you got to try it for yourself. Yeah. Especially if you're someone who's never been in that setting. Like you'll see that you come for the workouts and you stay for the community you build here, right? Like, and that's the just basic human, how we are as humans. We need community. Mm-hmm. And so when you're with a community that just makes you feel so good all the time.
Yeah. It's crazy how it works, and it's kind of natural to CrossFit. It's almost like a sports team, like, playing mm-hmm. sports as a child or whatever. And like you build community with your teammates and, like the coaches and stuff. It's like, It is very similar here. If not, I would say probably even a little better as far as the community aspect goes. And so to me, that's priceless. But these are things like you probably wouldn't realize until you tried it. And so from the outside looking in, like, I guess justifying the price to people that don't understand is kind of the challenge for CrossFitters and CrossFit coaches. Is like, do you ever have friends or family or anyone that's like, oh, it's just so expensive? Mm-hmm. And if you do, like, what's your typical response, I suppose?
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the biggest things I've heard is, well, you just get hurt. You're paying money to just get hurt. And I think that's pretty easily justifiable, right? Like, what would be your response if somebody told you?
Well, I mean, I've been doing this 15 years. I'm an affiliate owner. I'm a CrossFit gym owner. And I have pure research and statistics to go off of, not just from myself, but actual research papers to reference and stuff like that. And just, I think my first response, it depends on how the person says it. Like I guess you have to read the room or read a person, and, if they're the type of person that just kind of wants to argue and just like, no, it sounds like I won't even argue. It's like, okay, like, whatever. But if it's like, if they're kind of open to like, hey, let me actually, tell you about this and like give you some statistics and numbers, I will tell them like, no, that's absolutely not true. That's actually, CrossFit's one of the safest training modalities you can do relative to other things and other sports.
Okay.
But it does have that stereotype. So like when I hear that, that's one of the first things, that I would reference is like, hey, like this, let's just nip this in the bud. It's not true. Yeah. It is a stereotype, but it's not true. And let's talk about why it's not true. I'm case number one. I've been doing this 15 years. I've never been hurt doing an actual CrossFit workout. Yeah, I've had surgeries and stuff, snowboarding, soccer. So it's like doing other stuff. Sure. But, I feel like CrossFit has been one of the best things for my mind and body overall.
Yeah.
When I get people that will kind of complain to me about the price, you start to kind of lead them in the direction of like, okay, but like, here's what you're getting.
Yeah.
And, you're getting a coach that, good CrossFit coach, no matter how busy class is, will be able to engage with you and help you with your technique, your intensity, like things that maybe you wouldn't get help with at the gym normally by yourself. You're going to get that. So you're getting coaching, you're getting access to the community, you're getting access to specific equipment that is built to do what we do. Not stuff you have to tiptoe around, or, we're not going to ring the lunk alarm on you if you drop a barbell or something like that. Our weights are, a lot of our weights are meant to be dropped. And so there's, that, but I think the biggest like seller that I have for people when it's like worth it, or like to a new person, sorry, is like, it literally is, I've tried everything, and in my opinion, it's the best way to be healthy and fit on the planet. And it's going to give you the best results you've ever seen if you stick with the program. And what's sticking with the program? Well, it's exercising 5 days a week, hopefully doing your CrossFit workout 5 days a week, and eating decent, not even perfect, just getting a decent amount of rest, sleep. That's it. And you're going to see results like you've never seen before.
Yeah. And
to me, that is priceless. Like, you cannot put a price tag on what CrossFit will do for you if you let it.
Sure.
Now, that being said, can CrossFit be done incorrectly? And what I mean by incorrectly is like where it doesn't give the results that you're looking for. Absolutely. And what we see there is like a lack of frequency. We're not working out 5 days a week. We're not eating good. We're not sleeping good. Incorporate drinking into there. And before you know it, it's self-sabotage. And
or compromising, okay, I did this really hard workout, so now I can just kind of let the rest of my day,
Yep. And don't get me wrong, if you're that person out there, it's like, hey, I'm cool with that. That's okay. Yeah. But like, if you're the person that's really trying to maximize the amount of results you're getting, like that's something that's going to hold you back a little bit. And so like, if you want to maximize those results, it's like, okay, let's try to do this the way it was prescribed. And if you're not sure, it's like, 100 Fitness in 100 Words by Greg Glassman is a great place to start.
Can you do it?
Eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. Keep intake levels to that which support exercise but not body fat. Train the major lifts: deadlift, squats, cleans, snatches, jerks. Similarly, master the basics of gymnastics: pull-ups, dips, splits, paraways, flips, but probably not in that exact order.
Sports.
Yep. Well, and like I've already lost it. It's like mix these up in as many combinations as imagination will allow. Routine is the enemy. Keep workouts short and intense. Regularly learn and play new sports. And I think I got most of it.
That's very good. Congrats. That's awesome.
I'm a level 3 coach, guys. And so, in your opinion, CrossFit's worth it? I think it's way worth it. I think like for what you're getting, you could charge a lot more. Like once you realize what you're actually getting, like you could charge a lot more. But not just charge more. It's like every facet of CrossFit I feel like should be increased. So the average coach pay, they did a survey, the average coach pay in CrossFitters just around the world, it's just the average. So I'm not saying like, some coaches don't make more, some don't make less, is in between $25 to $30.
Yep.
Per class or an hour, whatever you want to cut out. And in your opinion, you're a coach, and you make somewhere around that. How do you feel about that number?
I think it's too low. However, I think it could be circumstantial, right? If you've got somebody coaching 2 classes a week, it's their side gig, they love it, they put their passion in it, but it's nothing, they do it for fun, they do it for their community, maybe it's enough. But for someone maybe who's coaching more, it is still a side gig, or it's not, or it's their full-time job. Just with the passion and the effort and the mental capacity it takes alone, I think coaches need to be paid way more.
Yeah,
I do. And given, obviously the prices of what the members are paying versus, absolutely. Yeah. Totally.
And like, I couldn't agree more. I think there's a lot of professions out there that are underpaid for how valuable they are. And I think being a dedicated CrossFit coach, I want to use the word dedicated because, like any other profession, you could just kind of get by. But it's like if you're a dedicated, passionate coach that wants to improve your craft, it's like absolutely like that's worth its weight in gold. I think I don't think there should necessarily be a cap on how much a CrossFit coach is making. How do you feel about like the like more like I guess experience performance pay grade? So it's like, do you think CrossFit coaches should get paid a certain rate across the board, or would you be more on board with like the better your experience and performance, the more you would make?
Hmm. I think it should be experience, performance, possibly depending on your level as well. You got someone who's taking the time and the effort to get their level 3, you should absolutely be getting paid more than someone who's a level 1 or level 2, you know? But there should also come, like, you can see the difference between if someone's a level 3, they've been coaching for a year versus 4. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, kind of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, I'm totally on board with that. The only issue I have with that is like, there has to be a level of performance evaluation also. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm cool with that. But, you know, just like any profession, we can get into where you have, like, let's just say, you know, your CrossFit level 2 coach is a little bit more passionate and still has that fire. And you have a level 3 coach that maybe is a little burnt out. And, you know, that person, that burnt out level 3 coach that maybe just isn't bringing their all to each class and kind of is just whatever, I don't feel like should make more than that level 2 coach that's bringing that passion, that fire, that desire. It's like, well, this person's performing better. You have higher accolades, but this person's performing better. So I think there should be a level of performance. But I agree. I think CrossFit coaches should get paid a lot more, like a lot of other professions.
Well, and I think like the biggest stigma with that is, well, you're CrossFit. Not everybody does it. It's a choice. You don't have to do it. But in reality, we're creating longevity for people to live not just better lives, but like really healthy and fit lives. And that's a lot more important than a lot of different jobs, you know? And I'm not trying to dock on anybody else's work or their line of work or anything like that, but it holds a lot of significance. You're helping people live. And so, you know, by doing that in the best way you can, responsibly, taking all the right steps, yeah, we should be paid more.
Absolutely. Like, man, the value of like a good CrossFit coach and just following CrossFit methodology is, you know, like we're going to teach you how to be healthy and fit for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And like the best ways to get results, how to execute movements the best and safest way that you guys can, understand exercise intensity, like macronutrient intake, specifically like protein intake is something we really hammer. Mm-hmm. And like, I think it's like educating people on how to do this for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And like that by itself is worth so much. And our goal is to keep people off the couch, and out of the nursing home, off of prescription medication. Yep. And at CrossFit's roots, that's what it's about. It's like when you get down to the methodology of CrossFit, we're not talking about CrossFit HQ or the sport or any of the money stuff. It's like we're just talking about the methodology.
Yeah.
When you get down to that, the roots of it is we're just trying to be healthier, fitter, and live really long without having to go to the doctor a bunch, without having to take a bunch of medication, and just really live our lives to the fullest. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love it. And I think it's the holy grail of it. And I think this is why I own a CrossFit gym, and I will die on this hill. It's the best way to be healthy and fit on the planet.
Well,
when
it
done
works.
Correctly.
It works. Yeah. Like you can't tell me the people that have come in, tried it, did it the right way, right? With the good coaching, good community, good programming. It works. There's not a time that it doesn't when you follow all of those things.
I've seen it work when you follow these things 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I actually have never seen it not work for somebody that follows the prescription we give.
What's that saying that you can lead a
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So that's more what we say about like, we'll, you know, educate people on here's what it takes to get the results you're looking for.
Yeah.
Now it's up to you to do that work.
Right.
And if you do it, you will get those results. And if you don't, well, probably won't get the exact results you're looking for. So,
but I think that can transfer. Like people have seasons in their lives all the time, whether they're having a baby or they're going to be out of town, or maybe like they just can't make it in as often. They have those tools in their back pocket to go and do the thing they need to do and then come back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I agree. As far as like a rate for CrossFit coaches, I don't think, like I said, they should have a ceiling, but I think starting in between 25 to 30 is good. And then sky's the limits from there. Like if I was a CrossFit coach, right now with what I know and how long I've been coaching, and I was working at another gym, like I'd probably like to make at least $50
Yep.
an hour or class.
Yeah.
And it's like I got 15 years experience. I'm a level 3 coach, which to me doesn't mean anything.
It does carry significance.
For some people,
it does, and it's not about the title. I think it's about the work that goes in behind.
Yeah, and I guess you're right. I guess my feeling about credentials is like I don't need a piece of paper on the wall to tell you that I'm a good coach. You should just know the proof's in the pudding. Like you should know just by coming to one of my classes.
Yeah,
that you should be able to tell right there as soon as class is over. Is this person a good coach? Yes or no? And you should be able to tell right away. And so that's for me. That's why I say I don't care too much about the level 3. I personally love it and care about it because I want to continue to educate myself in CrossFit, the methodology, as much as possible because I love it. But as far as like displaying that or telling that to people, like it's not important to me. What's important to me is like, you don't need to know how long I've been coaching. You don't need to know how many certifications I have, which is a lot. You don't need to know any of that stuff. I don't display it or whatever. Maybe I should. I don't know. I don't. You should just be able to tell by coming to one of my classes, is this a good coach or not? And like, that's all I want to know. And the answer is yes or no. And if I get a yes, I'm happy. And if I get a no, it's like, well, what can I work on to be better, to become that good coach?
Yeah.
So I think we've established CrossFit's worth it. It's a little more expensive, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. Coaches should get paid more.
Across the board, as long as like performance and stuff is happening and they're doing well, should get paid more. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
Well, and if you're in a gym or you own a gym, especially from what I've seen here, you should always, if you can't make that, you should be working towards that.
Yeah.
For your coaches.
Yeah,
right?
And totally. And that's something, talking to gym owners, and if you're listening to this and be like, well, I don't have the means to pay my coaches more, I totally understand. Trust me, we're in the same boat. But like Mariah just said, as long as you're working and your goal is to get there and you have an open level of communication with your people, that's like, hey, I know this is where we're starting. Just letting you know, this is our goal. This is what we're working towards, and we can work towards it together. Just being perfectly transparent with them. Instead of holding a carrot in front of their face like a rabbit and be like, hey, if you perform good enough, you can get this extra pay, when the reality is like, hey, we're just not quite there yet. So if you're honest with your people, they'll usually treat you pretty well, and vice versa. Last question, and then we'll wrap this up. When I first started CrossFit, I was a college student and it was expensive for me. I had a hard time affording it. Do you think that CrossFit gym should offer discounts?
No.
Like across the board?
No. Because I was one of those. Like I said, it was expensive for me. I found my why. And I think that if I was able to go around that in some little way, not to say I would take advantage, maybe I wouldn't have found it as worth it. But I think I experience, okay, this works. This is getting me where I never thought I could go. And I kind of will do whatever I got to do. Now, that may not be everybody's mindset and may not be in everybody's capability, but I just the standard is the standard, and I'm that's the hill I'm willing to die on.
Hell yeah. I love that. There's a lot of different opinions on that, whether you should offer discounts or not. And I don't think there's a right answer. So it's like, if you're a gym that has discounts, I don't think that you're doing the wrong thing. If you're a gym that doesn't offer discounts, I don't think you're doing the wrong or right thing. I think it's really owner community dependent and what works best for your business. We offer discounts here. This has just been something that since we've opened that we just haven't changed. We've changed the amount here and there. But it's usually, your first responders, military, stuff like that. And it's only 10%. I don't want to say only, but it's 10%. And then we offer discounts to students and teachers as well. Same. And that's like, because when I started, I was a student and it was hard for me to afford. But if I could go back and start over, I would do the no discounts thing, because I totally agree. I think it is what it is. It's worth it 100%. And if you truly believe it, you'll find a way to make it work. And what's $10 or $15 discounted a month? Like, I would be understandable if it was like $100 or $200 discount a month. It's like, okay, that does make a big difference. But 10 or 15, it's like, I'm just being honest. You can't tell me $10 or $15 is stopping you from doing this. Like, it's that's not it.
That's a good point.
But we offer the discounts, and like, I'm cool with it. I really appreciate our people. We've come this far, and I'm not really willing to just kind of pull that Band-Aid off or change it yet. What I will tell you, if you're anyone out there listening that owns a business or that owns a gym, CrossFit gym that offers discounts, is just be careful how much you offer.
Yeah.
And don't discount your product too much because it does have a value to it. And sometimes you have to stand your ground because if you over discount and stuff, usually what I find with over discounts, and this is usually with family members, stuff like that, is if it's discounted too much, there's not a level of appreciation for it.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, I've just seen that happen too many times. I know it's not a blanket statement, but I've seen it happen too many times to where it's like when you over discount your product, it's just not appreciated.
Yeah.
It's devalued, actually. It devalues the product kind of across the board. So it's like if you don't offer discounts or very minimal discounts, you'll find the people that are actually truly invested, that love it so much that they want to find a way to make it work. And those are the people you want. The people that are trying to nickel and dime you, from my experience, aren't necessarily the best for what you're trying to do for your business or even your community.
Yeah.
But to each their own. But I like that opinion. No discounts. It's a very it's a controversial topic with the CrossFit affiliate owners. It's funny. It's on the threads all the time. Like I swear I see it once every few months.
I think money, finances it's a hard topic no matter what.
No, for sure.
You know, so just when it comes to how much you're charging or discounts or no discounts, like at what point does it stop? At what points do the discount? Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that's and that's a great point. And that's why it's just easier to not have them.
Yeah.
And like if you're a gym that doesn't have discounts, don't feel bad about that. Like you offer a great product. Most businesses don't offer discounts.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah. So keep it up. And and what my advice to people that are in that community of people that get discounts from like what a profession or whatever is, like, that's great for you and like really cool that people are willing to do that. But also just let's keep in mind that is a courtesy. It doesn't have to be. I feel like sometimes it's an expectation.
Yeah.
Like I am the only one of my siblings that didn't join the military. I've been around the military my whole life, and I've been around people in the military that expect a discount, and when they don't get it, they get mad. So they'll go to businesses and be like, "You offer military discount?" They're like, "No." And they're like, "Well, what the hell?" And they get like upset. And it's like, hey, that's a courtesy. They don't have to. So it's like you shouldn't get mad about businesses that don't offer discounts. You should just be very thankful for the businesses that do. Mm-hmm. And like, so I feel like that's something maybe some of us could do better at. But anyways, discounts or not, do your thing. CrossFit, way worth it in my opinion. Well, not in my opinion, in reality, way worth it. You're kind of getting your biggest bang for your buck as far as like facility, equipment, coach, personal training, like education. You're getting so much.
Well, if you're somebody who has been on the fence, you haven't tried it, and let this be your seed planted, like show us.
I always say proof's in the pudding. Like, go try it. That's why most gyms will offer a free trial. We do a free trial week because I want our people to know that they like it for sure, that they're going to stay for a long time. So that's also controversial with other business owners. It's like, oh, you should either do no free trials or only one day free trial. A week works out really good for us.
Yeah, I agree
CrossFit's different every day. I like my people to know that they're going to stay here and that they like what we do. Sometimes one workout isn't fair. Sometimes you walk into a CrossFit gym, very rarely, and the workout of the day is a 5K. And man, if that's your free trial, I doubt you're coming back.
Yeah, try it again.
Like,
I mean,
come
be like
try
me,
again.
You could do Murph. But...
Some people like punishment. Anyways, well, we're going to wrap up. Like I always say, these aren't Joe Rogan podcasts, so I don't like to keep them 3 hours. We like to keep them nice and short for y'all, for those of you that don't have 3-hour commutes. Specifically me, I have a 10-minute commute. So like when I try to listen to podcasts, it takes me a few days. Yeah. But anyways, Coach Mariah, thank you so much for coming on.
This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for talking, lending your opinion. We'll hop on and talk about something else some other time. But in the meantime, y'all, try your local CrossFit gym. It's usually free. And you'll see the proofs in the pudding when it comes to coaching, community, and decide if it's worth it for yourself. What I will tell you is statistically, it's not dangerous. So you got to make that decision for yourself. If you're in the Thornton, Denver area, come try us, CrossFit MOB. We'd love to have you. We've got a free trial week. All right, you can message us or check out our Instagrams, CrossFit MOB or Mind Over Body Fitness. You can check out Mariah's Instagram. Her handle is Mariah, not Carrie.
I expect like 10 new followers after this video.
10. The bar is low. You guys got this. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.